Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters, and so tomorrow we're going to begin the re-release of the, what's the region? Alola, that's the region, yes. Alola villain arc events, villain events, whatever, solo power boost, yada yada, but the big important part is we're going to be getting the rerun of the quadruple Alola Pokefire Scout here. We're going to be getting all 4 of these Tapus back, apparently. First quadruple Pokefire rerun since, I think, the original banner with Cynthia, Lance, Steven, and Cygnus Cynthia back in like 2021. That's pretty crazy. It's going to be hard to tell if they'll update the rates to be better, considering triple banners are a total of 4.5% feature rate, which is amazing, whereas historically quadruple scouts have been 0.5% for each character, aka 2% total, which is the normal rate for a Pokefair, but 0.5% is very hard to aim for if you're going to be trying to get a specific sync pair, right? And of course, I mean, if you want like any of them, not a bad banner, but if you want one of them, or even just 2 of them, it's gonna be kind of tough. So just letting you know that now when you go to summon for this banner. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this overview, just because 4 characters, but I guess we'll just go with it. So, Cygnus How. Cygnus How is an electric character who's able to set electric terrain via entry and on his sync move if you do pick up Power Plant. And he does have the ability to set Fairy Zone, which these are good things, right? Setting Fairy Zone is good for us, enhancing Fairy attackers. Electric terrain is good for enhancing electric attackers. Duh. He does also have a passive called Melee Ocean Breeze, which increases ally special moves next when anyone on the team sets a weather, terrain, or zone effect. So, in conjunction with other characters who can set a zone effect, or weather effect, or whatever, he's going to be giving the whole team special moves next. And again, that also applies to his own. So when he sets electric terrain and when he sets Fairy Zone, he will be giving allies special moves next buffs, which is good support on top of, you know, the potential utility he's got, right? He does have Dazzling Gleam, which is not really that big of an option, but he does have Wild Electro Web, his biting move, which attack power is doubled in Fairy Zone. It lowers enemy speed by 2 and raises ally speed by 2. It's a 120 base power move that of course gets doubled again when in Fairy Zone, and it hits all enemies as well and only utilizes 1 gauge. So he's very good with gauge management via those speed buffs and the 1 gauge usage, and he's got some pretty good power behind him as well with his offensive stats. 376 special attack is good, 443 speed is good, 220-ish in both defenses is fine, and HP is good as well. And with the Striker EX roll investment, because he does get that, he's got over 400 special attack, over 450 speed, 230-ish in both defensive stats, and nearly 800 HP. Very close. So, yeah, How's got good stats. He's got good utility with setting the weather, terrain, and zone, electric terrain and Fairy Zone, and then, of course, the special moves next supportive buff, right? And on top of that, he's also got Team Power Induction, buffing ally move damage when in electric terrain, so he does have that supportive ability as well, similar to that of like Champion Blue or Cygnus Leer, but of course not to those same levels, right? Then obviously. On top of obviously setting electric terrain on the entry, he does also extend it when electric terrain is set, so no matter who sets it, whether that be a partner like Volkner or Thunderbolt Red or whoever, electric terrain will be extended, and he will also be able to extend his own, right? Which is good. So he's got electric terrain extension and all of that as well. He does have his trainer move, which raises special attack by 4 and crit by 2 and reduces sync countdown by 1 when in Fairy Zone. So he's got a little bit of sync acceleration and some decent self-sufficiency too. With investment, right? So even like without investment, he doesn't really have any multipliers, but of course he does still have the Fairy Zone setting. He does have the little bit of special moves next enhancement. He's got the speed buff, speed debuffs, whatever. Mostly a character I would say you should invest in though if you do try to actually pull for them. And he does get good with investment. He's got Cakewalk here as a multiplier, Whimsical Sync as well for a 50% damage buff in Fairy Zone, and Power Plant as well for setting electric terrain after using his sync move, which is repeatable no matter how many times you use his sync move. And he's got a good AoE electric nuke, legitimately. Like Cakewalk plus Whimsical Sync 5 plus the 2 sync nodes plus his innate sync multiplier of having electric terrain activated. All this is easy to activate considering his ability to debuff speed, set electric terrain, and set Fairy Zone and all of that, right? They're easy multipliers to activate. And he's good in terms of the damage. It's an AoE tech nuke as well. 434 on the offensive stat is not bad. This is one of the stronger, quote-unquote, striker, you know, electric types in the game, for sure, right? Like Tech Strike, this is a good electric type nuking character for AoE damage. he does do well in that regard, again, on top of everything else he's got with the supportive ability and the electric and fairy zone setting. And even outside of that, if we want to look at other tiles he's got that are powerful, he's got Mind Games 9 for debuffing, he's got Unfortuitous 9 for random debuffing, I guess Morale Boost for buffing and special attack, but not really that worth mentioning. Hunter's Instinct for damage, which again, with a 240 potential power, Wild Electro Web, that's going to be doing good damage. And again, some other things as well, like Brain Gain on Fairy Wish for more special moves next buffs to the team, again, on top of the Melee Ocean Breeze passive, and again, that Electric Terrain on Power Plant. Most of his good tiles are there, right? You can also work with a few other things like Adrenaline 1 or Weird Vibes, which I don't even want to go into that. Weird Vibes is not really anything you should be messing with, but it can do something, right? If you do have, for some reason, Psychic Terrain activated over Electric Terrain, it's literally just synergy with Singing Solana. That's the only reason he's got it, but whatever. Anyway, point is that he's a good nuking character with good damage, and of course good enhancement with Electric Terrain, Fairy Zone, and the special moves next buff. So a good character to go for with a little bit of support, but also mostly a damage-oriented character and utility-oriented. Signasuit Mina. Signasuit Mina is like a queen of defense, pretty much. Like, this is a character whose value went up immensely due to the existence of Ultimate Battles, because her ability to apply crit protection, apply defensive buffs, team damage guard, team healing for herself, rain, fairy zone, all of this stuff is extremely strong for countering these Ultimate Battle stages, right? She's got Draining Kiss here, which is her damaging option, and healing option as well, right? For a character who's meant to like just have one move that they can spam over and over and pass turns, Draining Kiss is one of the best to have as a support character because it gives you healing on top of everything, especially in stages where they are more oriented on having high health than high defenses. And of course it's generally a longer battle where you're going to have more sync buffs and whatnot. You are mostly oriented upon having a longer time to build up damage via sync buffs, and ergo more healing off of Draining Kiss, meaning this makes Mina a very sustainable support for herself, right? Which is great for pretty much any game mode you want to use her in. She's also got Rain Dance, again, setting that rain here and setting Fairy Zone via the same method as how. All four of these Tapus have that same method of setting a terrain on entry and extending it, setting it on sync in the grid, and having an ability to set another one, or in Lana's case, the same one, via a move, i.e. Psychic Terrain for Lana, Rain Dance for Mina, Fairy Wish for How, and Sunny Day for Acerola. So I just wanted to make that clear for anyone who doesn't know anything about these characters' abilities. Mina's got Rain Dance here. Is able to set rain, very solid for helping out water-type characters, but also good for herself. And she's got a good buddy move. This is a very good buddy move. It applies damage guard to all allies, restores the HP of all allies by 20%, HP is restored by 30% instead when in Fairy Zone, returns all stats of allied pairs to normal when in Rain. So if allies have lowered stats, they get turned back into regular neutral stat buffs. 30% HP restoration for the whole team. That's very, very strong. And damage guard as well. That's very good protection against sync moves, high powered damaging attacks, or like obviously a good counter for like the Noland Ultimate Battle or something like that, where this guy likes to spam Earthquakes with +10 physical moves up next, or Fissures, right? Those damage guard is always going to be universally amazing for that. So this is really, really strong, of course. It's a very, very good buddy move. And then Pretty as a Painting, applying critical hit defense to the ally field of play, raising special attack of all allies by 4, applying gradual healing to all allies, and raising ally special attack by 2 when in rain. So one big thing is that if you are in rain, you're able to max out ally special attack from 0 to 6, right? And 0 to 6 in one turn is pretty crazy. Only like top tier Master Fair supports can do something similar for the most part. And then also gradual healing, right? Gradual healing to the whole team. That team healing every time they take an action, pretty much. It's like 14% healing or something like that. That's really strong, right? And then of course combine that with her ability to heal herself off of Draining Kiss and heal the team off of the Buddy move. She's also got more healing that way, which is really good. And again, Fairy Zone extension and debut, so she's able to enhance fairy-type damage-dealing characters and apply just different buffs, depending on any characters that may benefit off of Fairy Zone. Team Whimsical, special damage reduction 3, of course, this is also just another thing to go with that. Reducing special damage taken by all allies by 30% when in Fairy Zone. So if you are facing a special-oriented enemy, Mina is going to be even better of a supportive character for that, because she's got that damage reduction for the whole team, not just herself, but again, that whole team. That's really good. and then Pony Ocean Breeze, raising ally defenses by 1 when an ally activates a Weather Trainer Zone effect. This is limiting. This does mean you have to have numerous instances of Weather Trainer Zone, and preferably earlier on in the battle so you can get those defenses early, because of course a lot of enemies like to put out high-powered attacks earlier on, so buffing defenses as early as possible would obviously be preferred as to not. So anyway, either way, this is a good base kit character, or pretty good base kit rather. Her defenses, of course, in base are good anyway. 328 defenses, that's solid. 308 speed's fine. 711 health. All this good stuff. It's good stats across the board. Sprint DX roll investment. She does gain 60 HP points, and she does gain a little bit of offense. I guess the offense does help her Draining Kiss damage, but of course it gives you the Sprint DX roll. I mean, duh. It gives you the sprint function, right? With this, the -3 sync countdown on using the sync move. Of course, that's always going to be good for a support character. The -3 sync countdown is great. Field wouldn't have helped her at all, considering she's got, where is it? Fairy Kingdom there in the sync grid. So, I mean, sure, you wouldn't have to pick that up, but, like, still, they were not going to ever give her field. But still, sprint's good, right? It does help out that damage a little bit so the Draining Kiss can heal a little bit more health. That is something. Anyway. And that is just her base kit investment. With dupes, she obviously gets better. She gets Draining Kiss Master Healer for more healing, Refreshing Rain for more healing for herself, Sync Move Team HP Recovery, which is just synchro healing, right? 20% HP recovery to the whole team when using her Sync Move. This just gives her more ticks of team healing, gradual healing, the buddy move, synchro healing here. This is pretty good, obviously. She's also got Sync Wall, applying critical hit defense. Great for like the Palmer Ultimate Battle, and great just universally to not have to run Vigilance on her. You could give her Mind Games, Defense Crush, or like Head Start 1 or Adrenaline 1 or something as a lucky skill instead of like Vigilance or something, and that will obviously be very effective, right? That can help out with team damage enhancement or make the Sync Acceleration go faster, again, in conjunction with that Sprint DX roll. That does help out, right? Especially with a character like Signature Gladion for Fairy, who's got the Sprint DX roll, and they can do a little bit more sync ramping stuff. Or if you want to run her with some water types like, I guess, Clavel, sure, I guess. That does, again, also help out there. But again, any other sync accelerating character she works pretty well with. You also do have Team Smart Start 1 for a little bit of special moves next. Not really her forte is in enhancement on the special side. Well, other than special attack, right? But like, she's not really a big damage enhancing character. She's more of a sustainability character, other than setting her terrain and zone effects and all of that. But still, it exists, I guess. It's an option. Team Whimsical Immunity, applying status condition defense pretty much when in Fairy Zone for the whole team. That is nice as well. You don't have to run these skills to go like anti-burn against Annabelle because she loves to spam Sacred Fire or whatever other conditions you may run into when facing an enemy. Like electric type attackers, paralysis, all of that good stuff. You don't have to worry about that. That can be legitimately helpful, especially because you may have to pick it up anyway when going for Fairy Kingdom. You don't have to, but you could. Adrenaline 1, more Sync Acceleration. Combine that with Adrenaline 1 potentially as a lucky skill, and you've got a lot of Sync Acceleration on this team, man. Because if you manage to do the Sprint DX roll, have -2 Sync Acceleration, and then I think also Quad Q? No, you would need one more tick of Sync Acceleration. I think. I don't know, man. Either way, whatever. It doesn't matter that much. Point being, it's strong stuff. Like, Sync Acceleration could be really good for this character if you do want to invest that much into her. You can. Rain Dance Catalytic Kick, Gauge Acceleration is not really her, Gauge Management is not really her forte, but of course, Catalytic Kick does help out with that. At least it does help out to where you can potentially have good gauge earlier on, and then another character you may have there we go on the team, like Neo Champion Serena or something, could help out with the speed buffs, via Serena's buddy move, or another character who applies better gauge management later on, whatever else, right? That can help. And then Team Sharp Entry for a little bit of crit buffing, Flabbergast for a little bit of confusion chances for like gimmick deactivation, whatever else it may be. That could be good too. Also, Rain Gear 1. I don't want to undersell Rain Gear 1. 10% damage reduction combined with the damage reduction she already got and the healing. She's like probably immortal. Not really immortal in a sense, but still really, really tanky, or has the ability to be. So she is pretty strong when it comes to being able to help out with team sustainability. Also, Terrain with NPR plus Team Full Bracing Command 9 here. This does give you, of course, the extra defensive buffs and the extra gradual healing or critical hit defense if you proc that Terrain with NPR. It's all good stuff, really. Like, this is all stuff that can be very helpful for making sure the team lasts longer and still maintaining, like, different sustainability. Obviously, having sustainability, and then, again, combined with the damage enhancement via her Fairy Zone and Rain Dance. It's all really strong. So, very, very good sustainable support with Rain and Fairy Zone on top of it. Signature Status Roll, a very, very good sustainable support with Rain and Fairy Zone on top of it. So, very, very good sustainable support with Rain and Fairy Zone on top of it. Signature Status Roll, a very, very good sustainable support with Rain and Fairy Zone on top of it. very powerful physical-oriented offensive support character that got sadly shafted by the EX roles. Tech's not helpful. This character Sprint would have been the only real good option that they would have actually gone for, but I mean, sure. Tech is certainly a role in the game. It gives her more bulk, I guess. Sure, whatever. With 6-star X investment, she's got 328 in both defenses, similar to Mina, 284 speed, 711 health, pretty much the same stats for the most part, 240 attack, because she does use physical moves with Bullet Seed. Tech EX roll just makes all those stats go up a little bit more. I mean, her defenses are better, her speed's better, attack's better, health is better. It's not... Whoopee! I'm not... Sure, I guess. Like, it's an EX role in the game, definitely. That you probably won't invest anyway, but maybe it'll help her out in some gauntlet stuff. I have no idea, man. We're coping. That's all we're doing is coping. Anyway, whatever. So she's got Bullet Seed for a damaging option, which does actually have some effects in the grid with No Quarter, Tripping Strike, Recharging Strike, and Punishing Strike. So she does have the ability to debuff stats and recharge gauge when using Bullet Seed, if you do want to get to those different move levels, and of course actually utilize those different effects. You can do that, though most of the time you probably won't, but still, it is there. Sunny Day, she's able to set Sun. On top of that, she's also setting Grassy Terrain on her debut and extending it as well. So she's got Grass Enhancement and also Fire Enhancement with Sunny Day. And also, to go along with that, a lot of Grass types like to utilize Sun, so she is basically like the ultimate Grass support. Adamant, Signature Acerola, Brandon, I believe, is like charging Sun multipliers. Whatever else, right? A lot of these characters have Sun multipliers, so she is good for helping out these characters, especially if they are physical oriented and can utilize physical moves, because she's very good for that specific job. Via Unbreakable Swords Dance, which raises ally attack by 2 and physical moves next by allies by 1 and charges gauge by 2 in the Sun. 3 uses of this, by the way, so you do have a lot of opportunity to buff ally attack and physical moves next with this. She's also got her Trainer move, which is crazy, by the way. Buffing defenses by 2, which is fine. Crit by 3, pretty strong. And speed by 2 as well when in Sun, so you do have a little bit of gauge management, a little bit of defensive enhancement, and also with the crit maxing, very, very strong. Not super crazy as like when she initially released, because like obviously we have supports now like Champion Blue or the multi-role Arc Suit Steven, but still being able to max crit is still pretty good, obviously. Like, it's still a nice ability to have, especially when trying to enhance older characters, so that is nice. And then she's also got Team Verdant Physical Damage Reduction 3, kind of a counterpart to Mina, where she reduces damage taken in grassy terrain from the physical side of things, right? Mina's got special damage reduction, she's got physical damage reduction, pretty strong. If you're facing physical attackers, she's able to handle that very, very well, especially in conjunction with characters like Datamine, who have the physical master passive, is it Pride, I think? Yeah, Pride master passive, where you've got that damage reduction on the physical side. So you've got yourself a lot of physical enhancement, and again, a lot more physical damage reduction as well in conjunction with those things. So depending on what characters you bring, you can enhance these even further, which is funny. And then Ula Ula Ocean Breeze, one of the best passives in the game, increasing the physical moves next of all allies by 1 when the ally activates a weather, terrain, or zone effect. So Sun, Zone, Sun, grassy terrain, and any other like traits you bring to the fight, they will be getting a direct buff and physical moves next to the team, just because of Acerola just simply existing, which is why I've always loved the setup potentially of like Acerola and Signature Suit Nemona, because Nemona sets Sun naturally, and that's pretty much multiple ticks of physical moves next buffs for Nemona, and that's kind of a thing that you can really work with, especially in shorter battles where burst damage is is stupidly good. So having that is really, really strong. The physical moves next enhancement is crazy with this character. And then in the grid, she gets even better with it. She's got Green Thumb, of course, for setting grassy terrain after using the Sync move. Team Grassy Restoration for a little bit of healing, because again, she's more offensive-oriented than defensive-oriented as a supportive character. Well, more offensive enhancement oriented, there we go. But still having that little bit of healing is going to be helpful in that regard. On top of having grassy terrain where she's already restoring a little bit of HP when using a moving, again, grassy terrain. So that is nice. She's also got First Aid 4 for her own healing, Pep Rally on the turn move for some more speed buffs, Vigilance for crit protection so you can run like Head Start 1, Adrenaline, Defense Crush maybe, whatever it may be, you can do that. Grassy Tenacity for flinching, confusion, and trap immunity in grassy terrain, Safety Tether for some endurance, and then again those other nodes up here relating to Bullet Seed where you got the debuffs for speed, defense, gauge management, no quarter to making it hit guaranteed 5 times. And then probably one of the better notes as well, Sunny Day Team Bron gain 9, applying another physical moves next buff when setting Sunny Day. This gives you +1 physical moves next for the whole team, and combine that with Ula Ula Ocean Breeze, you get +2 physical moves next when using Sunny Day once, which is fun. The only issue I have with this character and the other ones is that she doesn't have NPR for Sunny Day, but other than that, I really do like this character. Her defensive enhancement is not that great. I mean, +2 defense and physical damage reduction is all good, but she doesn't really do too much other than that, and a little bit of healing she does. But again, she's still more of a offense-oriented support, so if you are trying to enhance ally damage, Acerola is one of the best for the job, frankly. Obviously not better than like Arceus Steven, but still really good, and especially catering to grass or sun characters. Finally, Signature Lana, the damage-oriented character of the bunch. Granted, Hal's pretty damage-oriented too, but Lana just is really more so, or at least she tries to be. She's got pretty low stats, all things considered. Like 318 in both offenses is not great, even with the 6-star EX. Like below 200, or below 300 offensive stats, not great. And her 328 speed stats fine. Defensive stats are not great, but they're fine. Like these are not fantastic stats, but they're serviceable mostly. And with full investment by the Sprint EX roll, yes, Strike Sprint, it doesn't really help her out that much, but I mean, that's 2 of the Tapus with it now, so I mean, sure, go for it if you want to. But I mean, it is something, sure. Her defenses could definitely afford to be better, though. No doubt about that. Anyway, whatever. She's got Moonblast, which is not her main damaging option, and really almost pretty much never worth going for. I mean, there's some cases, right? Like the Evelyn Ultimate Battle being very weak if you want to utilize her. I saw Skinny do that. I mean, you can, but still, even towards the end there, Psychic Cut was better, especially because she is a psychic-oriented character. She does not set Fairy Zone in any regard. She only sets Psychic Terrain, both via her debut extension passive, her sync passive with Weird World, and also the Psychic Terrain move. So she's just got infinite Psychic Terrain. One of the best characters to enhance Psychic types because she just has so much Psychic Terrain and so many sets of it, right? That's pretty much what she's built for, obviously. But other than that, she does have Neo Psycho Cut, her main damaging option, which is a 4-gauge move, 168 power, activated when weather terrain or zone effects are activated. It never misses, it's got guaranteed crits, and the power is not lowered even if there are multiple targets, and the gauge slots are decreased by 2 when in psychic terrain. So pretty much always it's going to be 2 gauges instead of 4 because you're pretty much never going to utilize this character outside of psychic terrain. And if it's not in psychic terrain, it's probably deactivated because, again, you're probably not really running her with many other different weather terrain or zone effects other than psychic terrain. But still, if you somehow do, then you have to deal with 4 gauges, but still, just keep psychic terrain up. It's not hard. It's not that hard, especially, again, with how often this character can set it. She's also got her trainer move, Cast the Line, which raises attack and special attack by 6 and applies super effective next when in psychic terrain. So if you are doing on-type damage, that little bit of super effective next could be helpful there. And also damage challenge or something like that as well could be good there too. I mean, I remember the initial damage challenge, seeing people use Signature Line and Signature Lucamine, getting tons of points. Crazy, absolutely crazy combo for sure. Team Weird Vibes 2, powering up ally moves when in psychic terrain, similar to that of Hal's passive, right? But of course, just for psychic terrain. This helps out with other characters like Signature Lucamine, again, as an example. Signature, Deoxys, Steven, Lear, right? Any other psychic character you probably bring to enhance, you're going to realistically be pairing along with her. They're going to be getting that damage enhancement. That is nice, especially considering she's a damage-oriented character herself and also utilizes that same buff. Also, Akala Ocean Breeze, raising her physical and special moves next when an ally activates a weather terrain or zone effect. This does again activate for herself, so she's getting herself physical moves next buffs, special moves next buffs if you are going to try and utilize a Moonblast, which is the only real time you're going to have like Fairy Zone or something like that activated, and that really depends on your partner, whether it be Mina, Hao, or like Signature Wally. Doesn't really matter, but point is, that's probably the only time you're going to have the terrain activated other than psychic terrain, right, or a weather terrain zone effect. So just keep that in mind. But either way, you're getting physical and special moves next buffs for it. It's nice, it's strong, all of that good stuff. I don't think she's a great character with only 1 out of 5 investment, simply because she is really lacking in firepower. But with dupes, she does get better, though you need quite a few of them, aka 5 of them. Hello, brain power. She does have good moves, though. Brain Power for the nuke, Furious Brain, Weird World, Weird Might for increasing physical moves next, and also Hatemaker. She's got 200% in sync nuke multipliers, which does help with her lower offensive stat. 352 is not great, a multiplier for Furious Brain. With Furious Brain, that does help out as well, again, because her offensive stat is lower, so that is good. Weird Might 4 for more physical moves, next buffs, just better damage enhancement. Man, this character's got a good amount of damage enhancing abilities, which is pretty much used in conjunction to beef up her lower offensive stat and make her look actually impressive, which she still pretty much does. I mean, if you do legitimately want to run this character in any content, you can, because she is strong, and of course you are going to need dupes for that, but still, that's not bad. And again, like, if you are a newer player or something, you'll also be getting good utilization of this character earlier on, even if you don't have many dupes, just because she's pretty easy to use, and she's also going to be pretty strong for lower game content even without dupes, so there's not really too much to worry about in that regard either. But those are the big things to note. Haymaker, Weird World, Weird Might 4, Brain Power, and Furious Brain. Weird Vibes 1 is a 10% multiplier too, and that works. She does have Power Induction, which is just the same case as How, where if you may want to run these two characters together, then their zones, they do still overlap because she is lacking in sync multipliers at that point, and same with How if you have Psychic Terrain up, but it's kind of meant to like mitigate that issue, but for the most part you don't really want to run those two anyway. Just run a better character. Like, if you really want to bring Fairy Zone to enhance her Moonblast damage, bring Significant Wally or Significant Mina or someone who doesn't directly conflict with her. That's just a better option than bringing How anyway, so just keep that in mind. Critical Sync for guaranteed crit on the Sync move as well. Pretty much, this is something she should have had innate in her kit, but she didn't, so if you don't want to bring a support that can buff special attack, buff crit, which you can do that anyway, it's not that big of a deal. There's a lot of good good supports for her that can buff crit, but if you don't want to bring those, she does have Critical Sync as well, which will pretty much be mandatory if you don't bring one of those supports. So just kind of keep that in mind. Either way, yeah, not a bad character to build. She does have Propulsion on the Train move and Adrenaline 1 for quite a bit of Sync Acceleration. This is honestly not bad for Sync Acceleration for a character, especially combined with characters like Significant Lusamine, who also have their own other methods of Sync Acceleration. She's good there too. Anyway, that's mostly it. She does also have Psychic Terrain NPR if you somehow need even more of that and don't want to pick up Weird World, which is fair. Frankly, it's a pretty expensive tile. You can do that if need be. My lord. So much Psychic Terrain. But yeah, whatever. I know this is kind of a rushed video in a sense of going over these 4 Tapus, but there's a lot to cover, to be fair. All of these characters are still good. Acerola is still good. Mina and Acerola are still super good. Acerola is good for offensive enhancement. I would say definitely replace as a general offensive support by, like, obviously Arcsuit Steven in terms of the physical side. But for Grass and Fire type characters, she still is really strong. As again, if they are physical attackers, she will be good for them. Significant Mina is still an all-around really good defensive support character, again with the Fairy Zone and Rain as well. Significant How is a good electric type. Obviously not going to be replacing the likes of Thunderbolt Red and Ash, but still can put in work in his own right and do very, very good in a lot of other areas. It's just like mostly if you don't have those characters, How is an extremely good substitute. Not going to be putting out the same nuclear stuff they do, but he's still going to be really strong. And then again, Significant will have a very good Psychic type character with the Psychic type enhancement as well, and like practically infinite Psychic terrain. It's awesome. But yeah, that's my thoughts about the Tapu banner over rerun. All these characters are good, and if you do like just want to try and grab one of any of them, then the banner's probably good. But if you're going for like a specific one, probably not the best banner depending on how they do the rates. But if they do it 0.5% rates each, don't try to be like, oh, I want Saving City Acerola and go on this banner. You're probably not going to get her. You're better off waiting for a rerun, a select scout, something like that, to just try and get her that way, because this, unless you're willing to go to pity. If you're willing to go to pity and like you want maybe other dupes of these characters or something, then there's value there too. But if you just want Acerola alone, you don't care for the other characters, and that's the one you're focused in on, and you don't have a pity or something, seriously don't expect to get like that character, right? Obviously, but that's just completely up to you and how you want to spend your gems. Not my responsibility. So yeah, whatever. That's my thoughts about this banner. I'll see you all later. Hope you all enjoyed. Good luck on your summons. Good luck on your skipping. And happy spooky season. It is now October. Very, very fun.